Of the season,
the final one, man, as the Nuggets fall 98-90, a classic Game 7.
Yep.
Two munders, double munders here from both teams. Came down to the final 5-ish minutes or so, but in the second half, the Wolves made an inspired comeback from 20 down, or the Nuggets blew a 20-point lead, whichever way you want to look at it. Lots to talk about in this one. You know, last game of the year is always rough. That's why we wear the Die Hard shirt. We die hard. This was a very hard death for us.
It was incredibly hard.
But there's a lot to talk about, and we're not going to get to every big picture thing today. We will talk about this game and maybe some initial big takeaways from the season, but we will be getting to all of that, obviously, throughout the rest of the week. First, I want to tell you guys we're coming live to you from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Toyota Front Range Toyota stores, the official vehicle of DNVR. I got Harrison Wind with me.
Yeah, first I want to say is congrats to the Timberwolves, man. They played a great series.
They deserve it, man. They really do.
They played hard. They were not scared of the Nuggets at all. They took it to Denver in those first two games, and they deserve to win. You know, they outplayed the Nuggets in this Game 7 in the end.
I got D-Line Co here.
Yeah, I just can't believe that happened. I really can't. Like the Nuggets got outclutched twice by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they played one of the more disastrous second halves in recent memory at the worst possible time. Obviously, things felt so good in this first half, and then so bad in the second. But that's sports. That's sports, baby.
That is sports. We'll get to it. Superstar Dev.
I mean, just to piggyback off of Harrison, congrats to the Timberwolves. Congrats to Tim Connelly. That team wanted it.
Yep.
That one's going to stink for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because of how it happened. That was a shocking performance and a way to end the season that you'll feel it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I'm not as shocked as you guys are, unfortunately, by it. The Nuggets, so something had felt off for a little bit. We'll get to this in big takeaways. But tonight, as you saw the lead slipping in that third quarter, it was less shocking to me, unfortunately. Let's get to a fast breakdown here. Try to go quickly here. First play of the game, Gobert illegal screen. Kind of thought, all right, maybe this game's going to be called really tight. I think it was kind of called, I don't know, like second half was not called very tight. It was kind of a weirdly officiated game for both sides. Lots of guys in foul trouble. I actually thought Nuggets got a good whistle tonight. Murray hit a step back three right away. It was actually very clunky early on. But then he went 1 of 5. He clearly came out with some pep in his step, but it wasn't hot right away. Michael Porter Jr. and Murray missing wide open shots, but Murray did eventually catch fire in the back half of that first quarter, and he ended up with 13 points in the first quarter. 24-19 Denver. Things are going well. Jokic starts the quarter. One of the stories tonight, only rested for 1 minute. Insane defense for the Nuggets for the first 3.5 minutes of that. If you remember that, probably the best 3 minutes of defense they played all year, and they took a 30-19 lead. But did it cost them too much when they went to a short rotation, given that much energy? Stay tuned. Huge defense and hustle from Christian Braun in particular. Gobert was in there, though, when Jokic came out and started drawing a bunch of fouls. You remember this in the second quarter? It was one of the things, like you could pinpoint 2 or 3 moments that the game got away from you. One of them was Gobert in the second quarter drew 5 fouls in like 3 minutes, and they were in the bonus. Nuggets immediately respond, though. Murray in particular, he had 24 points. The game got down from 11 to 5, and Denver ballooned it back up. Cat started getting going, and again, Nuggets just playing great defense. It was 53-38, a 15-point lead going into halftime for your Denver Nuggets at home in a Game 7, and then immediately pushed it to 20 points. The Wolves had to call a timeout. It was a 20-point lead with time off the clock in the third quarter, and that was the end of it for Denver. Cat did pick up a third foul. They challenged it. They lost. So not only are they down 20, they lost their challenge and a timeout. Denver was in such great position at this moment, but unfortunately, no foul trouble. But this is a series of runs. This was a game of runs, and the Wolves made an enormous, I don't know what it ended up, 17-1 or something like that. A crazy run, and it was only ended by Christian Braun getting an offensive rebounding and hitting a floater, kind of a miracle shot. But Jokic in that third quarter started to melt down. Nothing but threes, no aggression, in a spot when Denver clearly needed it. 67-66 Nuggets. Let's go to the fourth. Michael Porter Jr., who was wildly off and bricking shots all game, finally hit a three and it tied the game. You thought, okay, here we go. Then Jokic finally hit a three. He was 1 of 8 at that point. So you thought, okay, here maybe something's happening. But the play of the game is the Wolves are getting a little momentum. Denver forces them into a late shot clock, and Rudy Gobert hit a fadeaway 20-footer.
Yeah.
Not a three, like right one step inside of it. It was huge. Aaron Gordon picked up his 5th foul. Wolves were in the bonus again at 7.5 minutes, and they were up 6. 5-minute game, 5-point game with 5 minutes to go, and the Wolves grabbed offensive rebounds on each of the next 3 possessions to get second chance points. They went up 10, and that was the game. Denver ran out of gas in this one. It's one of the big. I mean, it was one of the clear stories. What do they have in the second half here? 14-point quarter and a 23-point quarter, so 37 points in the entire second half. Just couldn't make shots, couldn't get stops, couldn't get rebounds. Out of gas. Dev, what's your big takeaway from this game?
My big takeaway in this one is the Minnesota Timberwolves and Chris Finch came into most of these games, but especially this game, with a game plan. Do not let anyone, it's going to be anybody but, Jamal and Jokic. Let them beat us.
Yeah.
They had 2 guys. Nuggets had 2 guys finishing double digits. The Timberwolves had 6 guys finishing double digits.
This is a foxhole game.
Their others beat Denver. You dare Jaden McDaniels to shoot the ball and try to play well. He finishes with 23 points. You dare Naz Reid to, try to finish. He finished with 11. Their guys stepped up while Denver did not step up. There was a lot of disappointing performances from the Nuggets, and you're not going to win with those type of games. And to add on to it, Anthony Edwards went 6 of 24. This was not a good game from him, and you could not capitalize because everyone else stepped up to the plate. So hat tip to the others, and that's team basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's funny to think, too, because Jokic, look at the numbers. 34, 19, and 7. Murray, 35, 3, and 3. Both guys had a hard night shooting, but this was a game where everyone was going to have a hard night shooting. You just needed 1 or 2 guys to make shots here or there, and it just wasn't in the cards tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm very, very disappointed in what Michael Porter Jr. brought. I'm very, very disappointed in what Aaron Gordon brought. KCP, I mean, really, outside of Jamal and Jokic, who both wore themselves out and didn't really have anything left in the tank going down the stretch, which was surprising. The Nuggets really, as a unit, as a team, just didn't show up tonight, unfortunately. It was really frustrating to see their approach coming into the third quarter also, after having that big lead. And then they just started relying on jump shots, outside threes, over and over and over, Jokic included. And they just really allowed the Wolves to get back in it by playing the wrong way, which is, again, really surprising that, in the end of this season, that the Nuggets go out playing a style of basketball that you don't necessarily recognize and was pretty soft, which is not a word that I would ascribe to this team in the past. They went out pretty soft. It's not, doesn't feel good, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. My big takeaway is they ran out of gas. The entire second half, the Nuggets looked exhausted, especially Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And to your point, D-Line, they did take a ton of threes in that third quarter. It was settle city. They settled for everything.
Yep.
And why do you take threes in those spots? Because you're tired. It's just easier. You settle for threes. The missed box outs in the fourth quarter, they're tired. You're fatigued there. That's something that happens when that's the case. And it's kind of crazy that Jokic had to play 47 minutes in this game. When they were up by 15 points at halftime, he played too much, I think. He played too much in the first half. He got worn out. And in the third quarter, man, it was so obvious. He had nothing.
Yep.
He had nothing in the third quarter. Jamal Murray didn't have anything in the second half. They were out of energy. They were gassed. Their hands were on their knees early in that third quarter. And you could kind of see what might happen. And that's exactly how it played out. They ran out of gas. it seems like an excuse, but that's what happened. That's just what happened in the second half.
My big takeaway is that, every year your flaws are revealed in the playoffs. Like, the playoffs tell the truth. The playoffs really do. They reveal to you where your strengths and where your weaknesses are, and there are players that you count on to be strengths or you think might be strengths in the regular season, and then you get to a playoffs and you're like, oh my God, that's a flaw I didn't realize this team had, and now it's just being picked at. For the Nuggets, depth was one of those things, and trust, I think, equally as important. And I'm with you, Harrison. I think, and this is a small quibble, I'm not saying like Malone cost them the game, but I do think Malone made a conscious effort of, okay, they had 2 days off, we're going to run these guys as hard as possible.
Yeah.
That wasn't a regular 47 minutes for Yoke. That first half, the effort it took to have the defensive output they had was unbelievable. It was impressive. When you say soft, first half wasn't soft. That first half was as impressive as the team has been locked in, getting physical, rotating, making extra effort plays. But it came at a cost. And the issue was Denver clearly did not trust anyone today outside of Christian Braun off of the bench. I don't think they really trusted him for good reason, Michael Porter. And I think that this was a little bit of a chickens coming home to roost all year about how the Nuggets approached it, who they prepared for this moment, and who they trusted. Now, maybe there was no one to trust. I'm not trying to take a side on this just yet, but when push came to shove and you got in the foxhole, the truth was there was only 6 guys that Michael Malone trusted. He ran them into the ground, and the game was unfortunately about 10 minutes too long to pull off that strategy.
Yeah, and look, it's tough to repeat. There's a reason nobody's repeated since the Warriors. It's 5+ years ago now. It's tough, man. And it is interesting how this year ended with them running out of gas in a game like this after we talked about how much the starters played all season. It's interesting.
I mean, and that's part of it. Like, this whole playoffs, we guys were talking about how shocked you were. The Nuggets did not look like themselves in this playoffs.
They had no energy the whole playoffs.
You weren't shocked that they blew a 20-point lead?
Well, I'm shocked that they blew a 20-point lead. I'm not shocked that they lost to the Wolves, though, in the series. And I'm not surprised that they lost, honestly, this Game 7. Like, coming into it was nervous because the Nuggets did not look like the best version of themselves. The way that they really had, honestly, through a lot of the regular season. But at the end, limping kind of in the end, losing that game to the Spurs, getting it against the Lakers, and just never quite looking like themselves in that series, and then through this one. I wasn't totally surprised because that Wolves team was so hungry. That Wolves team really does remind me of the Nuggets last year, where it's like they'll cut off their left arm to win. The Nuggets almost just look like we know what it takes and we don't have it. Too often, at least.
Yeah, I think that the shock for me comes into the fact of Denver just got very comfortable at that half.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't seem like there was many adjustments. They were just like, they're going to roll over, and that's where the problem lies is that is a team that was willing to cut off their own arm because they really wanted to dig deep and win. And, like, those contending teams, those championship caliber teams that truly want to stay on parade, they're going to find a way to put their foot on your neck and then keep it there. Denver did not do that. They resorted to, we're just going to go through 2 guys the entire time. No one else stepped up, and they had a huge lead. That was not just like a regular 15 points at the half when you have the MVP. You have Jamal having his best game of the playoffs. You are the defending champions. Like, that just feels like more. They don't have the experience on the other side. That's a team that you did eliminate last year. You had the ability to really end it, and you came out lackadaisical. You came out comfortable. There was a lot of stints that Minnesota did not score. There was a lot of those in the first half. And it's still, they were in fighting distance the whole time because there was not any adjustment. So I think that's where the shock comes in, is because there was comfort.
Yeah.
On a team that struggled.
I mean, I'm incredibly shocked that they lost this, especially because Jamal and Jokic were playing well. Like, that should be enough. But the other players on the squad, it's like, I just can't believe how little we got from Michael Porter Jr. outside of rebounds. I can't believe.
I mean, he stole a lot of those from Jokic
He did steal a lot of those from me. I just can't believe that the team around Jokic and Murray just came up so small in this game. To me, that's incredibly shocking. Like, what you got out of the main two, it should have been enough to get you over this game against a team that's never gotten there before. But I agree with Harrison in large part. Like, they just wore out. They just wore down, and they rode Jokic and Murray too hard. And when the tables started to turn and the Nuggets just started shooting threes, Jamal and Jokic included, like that was just like a real indicator of like, oh no, this is. I mean, I still didn't think it was going to happen, but that's looking back, like that is a clear indicator as to where their energy level was.
I hope Yoke's 3-point shot has been the one thing that has never been like that reliable, and when he hits it, it's so important. I do hope that is maybe one takeaway Yoke carries into the offseason is like my 3-point shot can be just 10% better. It could just be a little bit better, and it would make all the difference. Because tonight, I mean, he did hit his last 2, I believe, or 2 of his last 3. But it was like, you almost felt like it was too late. Like, you kind of felt like all game, you're like, man, every one of those you're taking would be so big, given how tired the team was and how they were guarding it. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, let's start to get into Jamal Murray showed up tonight, at least in the first half, for the first time in this series. We got to give him some credit for that. Talk about his playoffs on the other side.
Shout out Toyota. We are here in the Toyota Lounge. Shout out Toyota for trying to stay on parade as well. We saw them pick up the hashtag and put it on their 2024 BZ4X. Their all-electric, all-wheel drive SUV. You can see it right there on the screen. You can enter to win that car. You can enter to win other stuff as well. Hit that QR code. Get signed up. Your front-range Toyota stores are electrifying the Nuggets in the playoffs by providing championship-level fan experience. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Hit that QR code right there on the screen. Electrify the playoffs with your front-range Toyota stores. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. I feel like I got run over by a Sequoia.
Well, I feel like I got run over by a parade.
A parade of Sequoias. We love Toyota. Shout out to them. You can hit that QR code. Get signed up to win that car. Shout out to Toyota, a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets, the official vehicle of DNVR. At Circa, you can stay in an adult-only casino, 21 and up. Never even have to get out your ID once you walk in the doors. And you can stay there for a discount. You can sign up with code DNVR, book your stay at Circa. That's where we stay when we go to Vegas, and we'll be there for Summer League again this year. Love it. Love the casino. Great room. Super clean. It's a pretty new hotel. You can get 20% off with the code DNVR20. They've got a 7,000 square foot casino, 2 levels, stadium swim, best place to watch a game. They are Vegas's first ever adults only casino resort as well. Experience Stadium Swim. Watch your favorite teams at Circa Resort and Casino. Book your stay with code DNVR20 for 20% off.
And we are back here, segment 2. Jamal Murray tonight, after having a pretty terrible playoffs, had a phenomenal first half. He too ran out of steam, was not as effective in the second half.
Yeah.
They did a great job of beating him up, honestly, in this series, just getting incredibly into his space. Anthony Edwards guarded his ass off the last couple games, getting into him and disrupting him, including forcing some big turnovers late in the game. But Murray, after not being great for most of those playoffs, did come out and put up 35 points. Took 27 shots. He was a huge reason, probably reason number 1 while they built the big lead early on, in addition to their defense. But it's going to be hard to analyze Jamal Murray this year. What is kind of early thoughts? I'll go to you first on this one, D-Line. What's your early thoughts about the Jamal Murray experience this playoffs?
This playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, it's peaks and valleys, right? You get the very high peaks of the Jamal made a shot, Jamal made another shot. Jamal had big moments, but he overall, I mean, there's no way that you can look at his body of work over this playoffs and say it was anything less than disappointing. This is a guy that has really made his name by being a playoff riser because, you know, he doesn't do enough during the regular season to be considered for all-star consideration or, you know, and it always feels like it's a little bit of a slight, but you know, he didn't earn it. He absolutely didn't earn it this year. He's never really earned it in his career, but you always rely on Jamal Murray in the big moments. And to be fair to him, he really did come through tonight. It's just, you know, it was really for more of like a half and maybe a quarter of another quarter. But, you know, like overall, like you'd probably give him a C for the playoffs, even with those high moments.
Yeah, I think that this game was just like kind of putting a Band-Aid on something that needs surgery. Like this was not a good performance from Jamal from a playoff, you know, standpoint. He did play well in this game, but not in the other games. We even got to see him become a villain, and not in a good way in this playoffs. Like, this was a bad stretch from him. He was getting hurt. He came into the season out of shape. Like, I think that's something that he really has to go into. And it even bled into this game where they finally got a good game from Jamal that they still tried to ride it. I mean, if he was doing this the entire time, I think that you have a better plan of what it looks like. And I think that, I mean, every decision that you make has a consequence if something goes bad. But, like, I think that the team was like, hey, he's finally having a good game. Let's ride that. We saw bad turnovers. His turnovers in this one was like Anthony Edwards poking it and then scoring on the other end. Like, it was
the whole series. Like, if you made a low light reel of him getting his pocket picked at the top or just getting trapped, like, it would be like 5 minutes long. There were a lot, and like, credit them, their defense is incredible. But Murray also, that's one thing he struggled with that you don't really count on him struggling with.
And Anthony Edwards made this matchup specifically very personal.
Yeah, he did.
Jamal didn't get double teamed a lot. I think he saw different looks. There was times that he was double teamed, but this was like a mano-a-mano type of performance from him. I also hate the fact of he seems to always be in a mismatch. Always. He's on a center. He's on a guy that's way too big for him. You have to fight through that so you're not put in these compromised spots. So, it sucks because after the game that he just had, you want to tip your hat. But if you just take the playoff, like, overall, this was not a good playoff for him.
Oh, it was a terrible playoff run for him. He was bad. I mean, coming into this game, he was shooting under 40% from the field in the playoffs. It's bad.
Did today help? Because he was under 50% today. I mean, it was probably 47% or so.
Just under 50, so maybe he got it above there. I mean, I wasn't surprised that he looked as good as he did in the first half tonight. He had 2 days off. And we've seen that Murray with 2 days off in these playoffs looks really good on the other side of that. Now, of course, he was battling through a calf injury. But even before the calf injury against the Lakers, he wasn't playing well. He didn't have the typical Jamal Murray spark in the playoffs. He wasn't rising in the playoffs. He fell, even from where he was during the regular season. But, looking back on this season from him, injuries are going to be the story of this year from Jamal Murray. Injured during the regular season, banged up, hamstring, ankle, knee, and then the calf in the playoffs. I got to think all of those adding up took a toll as well. But it was really weird how even with those injuries, even with him not at 100%, you rarely saw, playoff Jamal Murray in this postseason. You saw it in bits and pieces. The game winners, of course, the first half today, the fourth quarter of Game 2 against the Lakers. But overall, you were waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it, and you just never got the full Jamal Murray game this postseason.
Yeah, definitely below what we expect of him, and the injuries, I think, played a lot part of that the missing so much late in the season and then maybe not being ready to sprint right into the playoffs probably played a large part of that. But I also give the Wolves credit. Like, a lot of people are going to talk about, Tim Connelly goes over there. He knows the Nuggets better than anyone on earth. He knows what makes them good. He knows what makes them bad. Goes over there. All right, we're going to get twin towers on Jokic. We're going to get length on Murray. But there is a third piece that I would say to all of this, and that was, strategically, we're going to get Murray switched onto a big, and we're going to post him up, because that's exhausting. Dev, you're a guard. When you go to play pickup and somebody just keeps posting you up, even if they're not good, if they're just like bigger than you by 30, 40 pounds, that's one of the worst things in pickup, because you're like, damn, I have to do this all. It's like you're not having fun. Like, that's not how you have fun playing. Murray's out there nonstop, and they're doing it deliberately. One, because it's a good matchup for them. Even Gobert posting them up. They're like, hey, we like our numbers here. But two, they just know that with Murray, it's going to wear him down. And they all hit a wall in that second half, but he hit a wall. And they spent the whole series beating him up.
Yeah, with that one, a lot of people are going to say that it's schematic. Okay, change the scheme. Like, why would you do that if that's clearly what they're going to and what they're trying to do? And also, it seems to only be him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, KCP's not in those spots a lot of times.
He was early in the series on Anthony Edwards specifically, but you're right, it wasn't Karl Anthony Towns and
and also
Nas
like
Reed.
I mean that's his guy. Like that's who he's supposed to guard. So it's not like putting you in a spot where you're going to get scored on every time, or you're not in, fight through that or allow that person to like have to shift. I think that there was a lot of late switches that put him in those type of spots, but also he has to do a better job of getting out of those situations. That is exhausting. And not only that, you're getting picked up 94 feet with three guys who want to guard you. Anthony Edwards wanted to guard Jamal. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, they switch onto you. They want to guard you. So now you're dead tired. And then you don't have it going on offensively that it's laboring. He did run out of gas in this one. But a lot of it is he put it on himself. He put himself in those type of situations. So I don't know if – I'm not going to just say that's the scheme. Because if not, then make an adjustment.
Yeah, I will say this is going to be an interesting offseason for Jamal. Because you're right that it was personal with Ant. And it kind of flew under the radar because Ant is like an open book. And I don't think he was necessarily talking shit in this quote. But do you guys remember earlier, like after game 1 or 2, where he said somebody asked him a question that was like, hey, what's it like trying to take back from the generation of like Jamal ahead of you? Like and he's like, what? No, KD's a legend. Jamal is like my peer. I'm not trying, like, he was offended by the fact that the question presumed that Murray was above him. I think that this is a series, and I think there's a lot of guys in the NBA that kind of have a bone to pick with Jamal. And I think this was a playoffs and a series where both the Lakers and the Wolves were like, he's not that good, and we're going to try to go at him. And unfortunately, for whether it was injury, fatigue, or whatever, he wasn't able to really prove them wrong. I think they were kind of right to go at him.
And they had the defenders to deploy that game plan. Yeah. I mean, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Anthony Edwards, who defended his ass off in this series.
His defense is crazy.
He was so impressive defensively, and his main assignment was Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray scored over 20 points in 2 out of 7 games.
That's crazy.
Against Minnesota. He had games of 8 points and 10 points and 16 points in this series. That's wild. You never thought, even with Jamal Murray playing with a bad calf, would be limited like that in the playoffs, playing, upper 30s and even 40 minutes. He had 16 points in 41 minutes. That was in the Nuggets, Game 5 win, so he didn't need to score a ton. But 8 points in Game 2, 10 points in 33 minutes in Game 6. The Nuggets aren't the Nuggets when Jamal Murray looks like he looked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on now to Michael Porter. We got to talk about him. What a rough one from him. 3 of 12. I do have this. Katie Wingy have this report. It's not some of the podium. Michael Porter said he apologized to the team after the game and felt like the loss was on him. He said if he would have played the way he knows he could, the Nuggets would have won this series. Michael Porter has 2 really bad series. One was against Miami. Physical defense. No space. You're not going to be able to play through that. And then, this one, obviously, exact same thing, length and physicality. Is that something that, 2 times, it's no longer a coincidence?
Yes. Yes. Like, you saw how rattled he got. Like, even when he was getting wide open shots, it was like he didn't feel like he was already, like, in the wrong headspace. He couldn't take advantage of it. MPJ was like completely neutralized in this series in every way, outside of the rebounds, which, as Harrison points out, were oftentimes just wrestled away from Jokic. Not really, they were like offensive rebounds where the team was.
And a lot of those offensive rebounds that Minnesota got, he was just standing there.
Yeah, he got beat on defense. He got, shaken up on offense. I don't really want. He didn't play well. I don't really want to harp on it too much because, fuck it, we lost. The game is over. There's not much more to look at here, but it's disappointing, man. I really just expected more from Michael Porter Jr., and it is going to lead to a lot of questions in the offseason. I don't even know what happens, but it just, as far as, is this a guy you can count on? Whether or not you're able to move him off your team, it's is this a foxhole guy? Do you count on him in the same way that you have been?
Is it fair to question if he's a foxhole guy, Dev?
Is it fair? What? Really, this was a humiliating playoff, for him.
He was the second best player against the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm talking about for this series.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll just go with this series.
Okay.
The way that Minnesota played him, they played him as if he was a bum. They played his strength against him. And I've never seen anything like that, where they're like, we dare you to shoot. We want you to shoot. He 1 for 6 from 3, 1 for 6 from 3, 2 for 7 from 3, 0 for 2 from 3. He went 4 or 5 in the first game. And then they were just like, hey, we have a plan against them, and we're just going to go against that. And that's wild to me that they did that to Michael Porter Jr., to where we're having to, talk about him grabbing rebounds as the good. He's not out there for rebounding.
No, I know.
He is out there to shoot the ball. He is out there to score. He's like, a guy that is pretty much a franchise player. You're supposed to show up in these type of performances, and they went after him at times. They let him score. They played off of him. Like they went to double team because they're like, we're gonna let Michael Porter Jr. shoot, and we're gonna be very physical with him because we know that rattles him. That's a wild thing to think about.
Yeah, it really is.
He was the second best player against the Lakers after an awesome season. Like, Michael Porter had a great regular season, man. He became, in the regular season, a really complete offensive player. He improved everywhere.
Yeah.
And then this series, it all evaporated. His last 4 games, 4 points, 6 points, 8 points, 7 points.
Wow.
His last 4 games of the series. By the end of this, he was a non-factor.
And Michael Malone treated him as such. I mean, only 34 minutes in a game where the starters basically played all the minutes. He was 10 minutes, only guess 6-7 minutes below everybody else. Christian Braun at 20 minutes there. Let me ask this one. I know we're just ripping all the scabs open right now. For now. That's what you do when you lose the last lose of the series.
Let's just bleed out.
Rip off the scabs here. Tim Connelly's the guy that built this team. I put out there it's Tim Connelly's revenge, and I know a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? He's like Iguodala, he left. Some of this is true. Honestly, some of this is true. He did go out the side door. He did have a contract. He did get an offer that the Nuggets, and then went to the Nuggets saying, can I have it? So there was a little bit of this. But at the same time, the Kroenke's response to that was very deliberately, F this guy for wanting out. Go off and do your thing. And it was a division rival. I felt like it was an emotional. And look, the Nuggets won. They bring in Calvin Booth, and they go immediately and win. It felt like, okay, Tim Connelly, what did you do? You just left. But taking a year and a half, how does this change? I'm going to go to you on this one. How does this change the Tim Connelly piece of this whole split? And is there a lot of egg right now on Josh Kroenke's face for the things he said about let him go, we're fine without him?
For me, no. For me, I still have a lot of faith and confidence in Calvin Booth, and I actually still believe in his long-term plan. I really do. And I don't think he's going to stray from that at all. I think he's full steam ahead with that thinking.
But I'm not even trying to go either or here and pit those two against each other. I'm more talking about in that moment, the Kroenkes were very offended by the whole situation and were like, good riddance.
Yeah.
But it was a division rival, and he clearly knew what he needed to do to beat this team.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to think in that moment, they hid their, frustration of losing him a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And they kind of sloughed it off a little bit when I'm sure they wanted to keep him if they had their way. But no, I actually do think they were very confident in Calvin Booth at the time. And look, we know Tim Connelly was a great GM. We knew that here. It's been interesting to see, the total flip because after Connelly left, there was a lot of anger. But then after Calvin Booth, wins a championship, everybody loves the guy. And now it's flipped back the other way where people are, I think, going to put a lot of blame for this season on Booth. But no, it doesn't really change much for me there.
What do you think of this?
Well, I mean, we know it's frustrating because, we know that the way that it went down was that basically the Kroenkes didn't have time to address the Tim Connelly situation in time. He had to make a decision before they even really gave him an offer. And so from that standpoint, I mean, it's I don't know.
We don't need to relitigate who was right or wrong. It's more, it happened. And in 1 year's time, he built a team that unseated what he thought was a dynasty.
But I'm saying, so this is yes, the Kroenkes should absolutely be held accountable for. I mean, we'll see where this goes. But I mean, this has nothing to do with Calvin Booth. It's not saying that he's worse, better, anything. It's just that Tim Connelly is the guy that built this team. He's the one that had the vision for how this was all coming together, and then it got interrupted. But obviously, there was still enough of the plan in place that we were able to see it through with minimal adjustments, just bringing in KCP.
Might have been completed by Calvin Booth. In all honesty,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people want to give him credit for the moves Calvin did to complete the roster, but Calvin did do that, so
yes. But I mean, I think that this reflects very poorly.
That's what I'm getting at.
I absolutely think this reflects poorly. I mean, it's we'll see what happens, but I mean, it's going to be an interesting decade. Unless Tim Connelly could very easily leave.
Tim left because they gave him, quote, an ownership stake.
That might not actually be an ownership stake anymore.
Right. But that's why he left.
But
and
it was
a
also
boatload of money.
It was a boatload of money, but it was also the Cronkies didn't seem to care enough. Like they
have a way of doing things, and by their calculation, it was not worth giving him an ownership stake to keep.
Well, even that, but for sure that part.
Yeah, we don't have to relitigate who was right or wrong. All it is you let a guy go and he gets the last laugh.
Yeah,
and that's really what it comes down to. And that is a pill that you're just going to have to swallow and say, that guy knew us really well. Clearly, made a bunch of insane moves that had one team in mind. And now they are halfway to a championship, kind of at your expense. So that's the hard truth of it, and it's something that I think the Cronkies are going to have to sit in. And by the way, if there's another silver lining to this, billionaires don't like to lose. Stan and Josh Kroenke have to take a huge L tonight, imagining Tim Connelly's, the celebration he's having if they go on to win a title. The Nuggets are about to get super expensive. They've already been expensive. I hope the sting is they remember that sting when they have to open up their pocketbook and make a call on whether or not to spend money. I hope they sit there and have to be like, man, you know what sucked? Tim Connelly celebrating on our court. All right, we got to make some moves here. We got to sign some guys.
Well, it was pretty cool winning a championship with Calvin Booth last year. That was cool, too. They can probably think back to that also.
But I mean, think back to both. You got to, those things should hopefully drive you. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we'll round out some more from this game, and we'll hear from Vogt, who's at Ball Arena. Michael Malone, not in the best mood, you guys.
I was shocked.
Miller Lite, it was Miller time for a half. It was Murray time for a half in this Game 7. Miller Lite, the best light beer out there. The only light beer I drink. And I'm a light beer guy these days, so I love Miller Lite. Had one during the watch along. We got the Miller Lite fridge right here, which needs to be restocked. So we'll get HR on that. But shout out to Miller Lite, 96 calories per 12 ounces, the original light beer since 1975. They keep it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. It's a light beer that tastes like light beer at only 96 calories. Times change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces. Underdog Fantasy, these guys have been riding with us all playoffs long. Shout out to them, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. They have a great pick'em game. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. You can make entries in NBA and all sports, basketball, hockey, mix and match across other sports too. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. You can sign up with the QR code right there on the screen. When you do get the app, use code DNVR to sign up and get a first deposit offer as well as an instant pick'em special in your lobby. Underdog Fantasy with code DNVR. Scan the QR code there on the screen. We have a link in our description as well to sign up today. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ncpgambling.org.
One silver lining from this game, I thought Christian Braun looked very good, and really in this series he looked very good. I mean, he looked good enough that it was the only guy Malone really trusted off the bench in this one. But this is 2 years in a row, his rookie year and now this year, where Christian Braun has looked like a guy, like he was not a liability out there. No. Really in either series. The Lakers series wasn't necessarily the series for him, but I still thought he was better than he was in that series last year. And then in this one, he looked like, honestly, one of the 5 most important players. Not even one of the 6, but one of the 5.
Yeah, this is a series and season where Christian Braun could even dig deeper because, I mean, you say he's not a liability, but he kind of is offensively.
Yeah.
If he buttons up on the offense, or if he gets himself to going there, he now becomes part of the real rotation.
Yep.
Like on a night-to-night basis, not just in break in case of emergency type of situations like we've seen in this series. If he's able to score the basketball, if he's able to start shooting consistently, he's going to play a lot of minutes for this Nuggets team.
For sure.
So this is like a series that he should look at it and say, hey, I have to add that part to my game. Because, I mean, the things that he's good at, those come from within. He's not working on those things. Like, he's a hard worker. He's a hard player. He's crashing boards. He's he's strong enough to be able to step out on different positions. So, like, I love that this is what he got to experience right now because, I mean, he's that close to just being part of this team. And being able to make a real impact.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Calvin Booth looks at Christian Braun as a KCP replacement.
I think it's happening. I mean, we'll get to that later on in the week, but I think that is the largest thing that is likely to happen this offseason that Nuggets fans will panic about. Rightfully so.
It's definitely going to happen, yeah. I mean, but he looked great tonight. Christian Braun was one of the only players outside of Jokic and Murray that looked like he was prepared for this level of intensity. It did not shy away from it at all. Like, made big plays. He's been really impressive this entire postseason.
You have any thoughts on him?
He was great in this series. He was really good in this game, and I think it was a really just positive season overall from him. He got better in every area. His three-point shot, that was probably the biggest thing where you were looking for improvement. That definitely leveled up this year. His confidence leveled up, and his defense, man. Christian Braun was easily the Nuggets' best defender on Anthony Edwards in this series, and he played great defense on him, especially over games 5, 6, and 7, the back half of this series. He was great. I love his fit on this team, and his role is definitely going to grow a ton.
KCP, this was a weird series. It's so rare to see KCP out of his element defensively, but this was an example where the guy he had to guard was just too big for him. I don't even think he did anything wrong. He even made plays, but Ant is obviously a special player, and athletically, it was the one thing that KCP just couldn't do. But nonetheless, I feel like that's more a circumstance. He was a victim of circumstance in this one.
Yeah, but now it becomes a circumstance of the future.
Yeah.
Like if you look at all the best players out west, most of them are bigger.
Yeah.
There's only a Jamal Murray and a Steph Curry, but everyone else, if you're going to be the team's best defender, you're going to have to get bigger. You're going to have to get stronger. And now I think that it puts him in tough spots of do we pay him or do we go after Christian Braun and try to make him a scorer? And you talked about, we're going to get to that eventually. But, yeah, this was another series where they put him in a lot of compromised spots as well. He's giving his all out there every single time. But there's some things that you can't stop or you can't slow down. And he also became, sadly, a liability with being able to shoot the ball as well. So he's getting attacked on both ends of the floor, doing his best to try to give somebody tough. So you can't be down on KCP, but there are some tough questions that you're going to have to ask.
Yeah, and he's the guy that now has the player option, so he can opt out.
He'll opt out.
He'll opt out, and then it'll be up to the Nuggets to sign him, which will cost an enormous amount of money. Which obviously, what do we care? Cronkies, you have it. Spend the money. But, it will be a thing. What about the Minnesota crowd tonight in Denver? People don't realize this. I mean, Denver is a great city. With the words out, for the last 25 years, people have just been migrating here. Bomani Jones said it best. Denver is the coastal city of all the non-coastal cities. Meaning, if you're from Bakersfield, you move to Los Angeles.
Right.
If you're from the Midwest, you move to Denver. You get away from the Midwest, and Minnesota's obviously a miserable place. It's freezing cold there. So
wow.
I'm saying it's freezing. You've been to it's a great city.
Just there. It was 70 degrees.
Well, it's great at that time, but I'm saying it's a freezing cold place. And look, there are not a lot of Denver people moving to Minnesota. Am I wrong about that?
Miserable place might be a little strong.
There are not a lot of people moving to Minnesota, but there are, or Minneapolis, but there are an enormous amount of people. So it sucks, but Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Chicago, those unfortunately, it just is what it is that those people are always here in Denver and continue to move here in mass.
Yeah, I mean, being in Minnesota, there was not Denver fans there. Like,
nobody has ever left Denver for Minnesota.
Yeah,
not
but,
one person in the history
also,
of migration.
Nobody's going to Cleveland for vacation.
Even go watch your team in the playoffs. Like there was very few of the but there was a "Let's go Minnesota" chant and stuff in Denver. You're supposed to do better at like not allowing those type of things, or like just becoming a city that you're like all in. But I mean that's clearly where they're lacking. But yeah, I mean that's. I'm not gonna say embarrassing, but that's not what you're supposed to have in your city. You're supposed to like rock out, and they didn't.
It's whatever, man.
I mean,
it's
whatever.
whatever.
This is a topic for every team in Denver for every season. It's just how it's how it goes.
It's just a bummer for a Game 7 to be that way.
I mean,
that was one of the things people kept texting me during the show. They're like, "Why is it all Minnesota fans there?" I was like, "I couldn't hear. We're at the bar, but that's one of the things there." All right, do we have Vogt yet? Is he in? He said he's setting up. Do you think the Wolves are winning it?
Yeah. They're the best team. They're clearly the best team the Nuggets have played over the last couple years. They're going to beat Dallas, and then I think they'll beat Boston, too. So, yeah, they're really good. They're well coached. They're deep. They've got, a rising star in Anthony Edwards.
This tested them, too.
Team.
They needed this, I feel.
Minnesota's a complete team, man. They do remind you of the Nuggets a lot from last year, like you said. They're hungry.
Oh, God.
They play with a great spirit. I don't see anybody stopping them.
I think Boston wins. Boston is set up to. They shoot nothing but outside shots, which the Nuggets got a lot of them and couldn't take advantage of. Like Minnesota is built to defend inside, which is defending Al Horford. I don't know. I think to me this opens up the lane wide out for the Boston Celtics.
What do you think, Devin?
Minnesota for me. Like they just seem complete from like top to bottom. They have size, they have a star, they have dogs that truly like believe, they have good coaching and make adjustments on the fly. They could get down big and not care. They could get blown out and not care and try to perform again. Like that's a championship caliber team. And the moment's not too big for them.
Yeah.
So like, and they have bigs. They have elite bigs. Like that changes things.
And they've got the chemistry too. They've got the chemistry, the camaraderie, the connectivity that Denver had last season.
And I think coming back from 20 points down in a Game 7 is one of those galvanizing things that, like, this was a team that already believed. I mean, think about how much they believed in Games 1 and 2, winning on the road. But then Denver hits them back and wins 3 in a row. To go into that moment and rebound the way that they did, and then obviously in this game to be down 20 and to rebound, that's a mark of a great team. I think D-Line makes an interesting point about Boston in that they are designed to be sort of a very counter to Minnesota.
Absolutely.
But I will say Boston has struggled. As much as they shoot threes and love to make them, it has to be a left hook, right hook kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Minnesota is great at taking away one of those. Can they win with only threes? I don't think so. I think they're going to have to also get to the paint. Minnesota has been a team that doesn't allow the paint. And Boston is terrible at getting to the paint. So this is a team that like relies on their three-point shot opening things up.
For sure.
That'll be they're going to have to win both ways.
They are, but I don't know. To me, if Denver got through this, like it would have been a direct cakewalk for Denver because they were set up to beat every other team stylistically ahead of them. But I don't know. To me, we'll see what happens, obviously. But to me, it's like Boston has the exact counter to Minnesota.
And we're just bypassing Dallas, by the way. I think we can all bypass Indiana. I'd be shocked if they end up winning. But Dallas to me is I would pick Minnesota. I'll probably end up picking them in 6 or so, 5 or 6. But Dallas they're way better defensively than you think. And that's the thing that obviously in the playoffs you have Luka, you have Kyrie, and then you have the defense. Do we have him now, Kale?
Nope.
Oh, I thought I heard some noise there. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get to Super Chats, and Vogt should be joining us from Ball Arena.
Shout out to Red Hawk Roofing, riding with us the whole year.
Hell yeah.
Those guys are the best, man. Red Hawk Roofing. If you have any roofing needs, personal or business, check out Red Hawk Roofing. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. Colorado's best estimators and contractors, huge DNVR supporters. They're here at the bar all the time. Give them a call. Free no obligation roof and property inspections. Free in-depth photo reports for all inspections. Hail season is here. It's hail season. Don't get caught off guard. If you have Red Hawk Roofing do your roof, they will give you a free upgrade to a hail impact resistant shingle. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing, redhawkroofing.com. tell them DNVR sent you. Also, check out the Game Time app. You need tickets to concerts, shows, sporting events. Oh, I just realized we only have the Rockies for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, dude, no, it gets worse. It really gets worse. And the Rapids.
Oh, yeah. The Rapids.
We got camping season.
You
get a little extra camping in this year.
I got Serbia season coming up, I'll tell you
Tickets
that.
to concerts, shows, sporting events. Hit up the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. It's a really easy to use app. You don't feel weird about buying it on your phone. It's not complicated. They make it super easy. Last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. You can get views from all different seats inside the app. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, tons of great stuff. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code DNVR for $20 off.
All righty.
Fellas, can you hear me?
We can hear you, brother.
All right, guys. Well, that was not the night it looked like we were going to have at halftime. Not the night it seemed like we were going to have at halftime. Alas, here we are, breaking down a season-ending loss. And Michael Malone wasn't thrilled when he took the podium. I think he fielded a question about how tough it is to swallow losing this game when you were up 20. And Malone, very frustrated, said, "Next question, man. The season is over. Fuck being up 20. The season is over. That's what you don't understand. That's what's hard." Waited for a bit, muttered to himself, "Stupid-ass questions, man." He softened a bit from there. He went on to elaborate.
Hold on real quick. Michael Malone, man, that's weakness to me. It's weakness. I give you all your moment. I'm not going to beat you over the head with it, but somebody wasn't supposed to ask about blowing a 20-point lead?
I mean, you don't have to lead in with that. You could, like, maybe...
Hey, I mean, if
I don't
you
know,
know,
I get it.
What vote?
My buddy texted me after the game, and he goes, because he heard the presser, he goes, "I don't know, it kind of seemed like blowing a 20-point lead was part of the story." But
Yeah.
we all digress. That was Malone's feeling.
Yeah.
He did elaborate. He would go on to elaborate. He said, "Look, man, this feeling sucks. It sucks. You start all the way back at training camp, and then it just stops. It's so abrupt."
Yeah.
And then he talked about needing to use the loss to fuel themselves. Looks like there's a Wolves entourage hanging out here, still celebrating. He talked about needing to fuel themselves with the loss and how that's just what they had done originally with the Game 82 loss to get to where they were. And so it's just about being better now, you know, looking in the mirror and saying and coming back and trying to be better and starting all over. You got to go back to work. He went on to say, we'll be back. We just have to look outside and inside and find ways to be better. Failure is not fatal. This is a temporary setback. We will be back. He did say it was tough to let the Wolves come in here 3 times and beat them in their home court. That's something they're not accustomed to. And eventually he said, "Right now, all I'm thinking is we're done. The season is done." And that, for me, it hurts for our players. It hurts. We have to go back to work. On the topic of a dynasty, he brought this up on his own. He said, "I consider the San Antonio Spurs a dynasty, and they never went back to back. So losing, the hurt of it, the pain of it, it helped us get here. Let's use it." Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to repeat. It's hard to win. He did say that he was really proud of the coaching staff and the players and the ownership group that they have. He said everyone played really, really hard this year. He said all of his players gave them everything. And then he went on to mention that this year, as opposed to last year, they had to play their starters all year, had to play them heavy minutes. And he said, "I think mentally, emotionally, and physically, those guys are just gassed. They gave me everything they had. They competed, they fought hard, and they came up short." And that's it for Malone. We also heard from Jamal Murray, who was very frustrated about what he felt was a winnable game and a lot of missed makeable shots. "It's tough. We generated a lot of good looks," he said, "but we couldn't knock them down. We all finished below 50%, all of us. We got the shots we wanted. Our offense was there. Our defense was there. We just didn't make them." He was asked about Malone's fatigue excuse or answer, which I think he saw as an excuse. And he said, no, I'm not worried about being tired. I've been playing in Denver forever. I'm used to the altitude. I'm used to catching my second wind, all of that. When asked about Team Canada, he said, well, I got rest now. So sounds like that's possibly on his mind, playing for Canada. I asked Jamal if, we always hear about how hard it is to repeat. And now that this team has tried to do it and come up short, obviously it just happened. But if he can reflect on why it is in his mind that it's so hard. And he gave me what I thought was an interesting answer. He said it's so much harder to conjure the energy mentally and physically to play like the hunter instead of to play like the hunted instead of the hunter. The motivation is different. I talked about how hard it was to just kind of keep that edge all year. And then he trailed off and he said, I just think we should have won this game, man. You could tell he was still in disbelief about all the shots they missed. And then finally from Jamal Murray, on the concept of using this loss for fuel, he didn't even let the question finish. He said, of course, for sure. It's back to being the hunter. It's back to fighting for something with a different type of edge. We beat them in the first round, and I know that sucked for them because they're such a good team. So they came in this year with motivation, and they showed it. And so now it's the Nuggets' turn to do the same. Finally, we heard from Jokic. I asked him the same question about why it's so hard to repeat. And he said the league gets better, everyone retools, and everyone wants to beat you. You get everyone's best shot. On what it's going to take to get back and win another championship, Jokic said, some teams never win another championship. So I'm just grateful that we were in a position to. We will see. We have to get better personnel-wise, team-wise, coaching-wise. You need to be basically perfect to win a championship. Today, I think we didn't make shots. I think we missed a lot of good shots. But that's not just on us. They played great defense. What's up, Ryan Blackburn? And then there was a question. I don't know if this was fueled by some locker room comments. The question seemed to imply that some Nuggets felt like they should have won this series or that maybe they were good enough to win. And Jokic said, I don't believe in that. I think the team who wins is the better team. If you have 7 games, if someone beats you, they're just better. He was asked about playing Team Serbia this summer. And he said, I don't know, my friend. We will see. I need to think about it. And then on how hard the starters played this year and how tough it was to lose in front of the fans, he says, look, we tried our best all year. Hopefully the fans will appreciate it. Or not. We will see next year. And then finally, and this one I thought was interesting, when asked about a budding rivalry here, if not one we've already arrived at with the Nuggets and Timberwolves, Jokic said, yeah, I think they're built to beat us. Just look at their roster. He went on to detail, all of the ways in which that's true. We'll post the full clip, as always, at DNVR Nuggets. But I thought an interesting acknowledgement finally from one of the two sides on what was the obvious kind of subtext of this series. The Wolves were built to beat a lot of teams, but particularly one team. And they just beat them here in Ball Arena for the 3rd time this series. The Denver Nuggets will not be staying on parade.
We're officially off parade, man, at the moment. All right, any other thoughts, Vogt?
I hate to end on this note, but just because I want to stay consistent, I talked so much about how good Michael Porter Jr. was this season, particularly in round 1 against the Lakers, where he was maybe the second best player. He was as bad in this series as he was good in the first one. And, he's one of the many guys that's got to look in the mirror now and say, how can I be better? And if the Nuggets do, in fact, bring everyone back, Porter's got to dig deep. Porter's got to be better than he was in this series. And I just wanted to say that as someone who's quick to sing his praises. He came up short tonight. Most of the Nuggets did. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a long summer.
All righty. Get home safely from the arena, Vogt.
All right, fellas.
Don't.
Who cares? Nothing matters anymore.
All right, let's open up some Super Chats. I will tell you, we will have shows all this week. The off season is back.
Oh, my God.
But
Can't wait to dive into the draft.
But honestly, this year we might actually get to prepare for it.
A little draft prep.
But I will say, especially this week as we get into it, I feel like there actually is a lot to break down. Of course. Last year, it was almost like the offseason was so autopilot, bring back the start of this and that. We'll get into it starting tomorrow about a lot of the, takeaways now from the season as a whole and what things are not going in the right direction. Maybe have reached their peak and Denver needs to find a way to be better in those spots. So we'll get to that. But first, Super Chats.
Hey!
Maximo did not expect this result, especially at halftime. To be the man, you have to beat the man. The Nuggets made my Wolves better. If we go on to win the title, it's going to mean more bait because y'all pushed us.
Hey,
Maximo, our
respect.
Timberwolves fan.
That's our homie that was in the bar.
Wow,
Hey, thank
Matthew
you.
Lum, thank you, man. Thank you all for everything this year. You all make the season so much more fun. Hopefully, we get more next year. Nug Life still has an O'Brien trophy in it.
It's true.
Why did we have to get the Spurs comps?
I know. Everybody's been comping us to the Spurs for forever. I guess true.
Spurs never won 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly,
They won
thank
5,
you
too.
all
I'll
for
take
an
that.
amazing season. Truly appreciate all the work you guys do. Everyone just looked so exhausted. At the end of it, next year can't come sooner.
Are you talking about us looking exhausted? I agree. We were exhausted.
Everybody.
This
Everybody.
actually was, I'm not going to lie, this for me personally was the most exhausting season by a mile.
Yeah.
I mean, because last year was so long and the offseason so short. Like, I mean, look, I wanted the Nuggets to win another title. I was talking to my wife about this today, actually. The championship's only like 5 weeks away. I was like, at this point, it's like you ran the first 24 miles of marathon. You're
I
not
know.
like, you want to just quit. Like, no, I might as well just go through it.
Might as well go through
At
it.
this point, but, you know, alas.
Stephen Kennicott, championship medal, my ass. That was an all-time choke job. We're Fraud City. Fire everyone, trade everyone. The Doomers are right.
Doomers are right. Thanks for the
It was a
$5.
collapse. It absolutely was. Jay Clark, as a Timberwolves fan, I just want to say you guys look adorable.
Get your jokes
thanks.
off.
Super chat,
Caleb,
Jay.
feel free to read these before you put them up.
Yeah.
The boys' dad. Best defense versus best offense.
Oh, yeah,
I
we
guess
can't lose that
defense
guy. He'll
now
be back
wins
every show, Cal.
championships in basketball as well. Thank you to the boys' dad. Donnie, if Zach Edey is available, draft
man.
him to be backup center. I was going to post this winner.
I was gonna say, I love the shift right into draft mode.
We're
I
back.
love the people that are
We're
just
back,
seamless,
baby.
like, well, you know what? Let's go.
We're back, baby.
Zach Edey.
Jesus Christ. Brian Yee, the Nuggets are psychologically soft. Whenever the playoffs got physical or
Oh, my
required
God.
mental toughness, they psychologically melted and folded. See
Hold on a
games
second.
1,
Were
2,
they down
6, and
0-2 at
7.
home and then
I
came
know.
back and won 3 in a
Come
row?
on, guys.
Okay,
Come
so-
on. Come on.
PS14, thanks for a great season, fellas. At the end of the day, we didn't have the championship depth this year, and guys were banged up. Getting picked off at midcourt about 4 times certainly didn't help tonight.
I know.
No, it
You
didn't.
have to credit the Wolves defense. You
Nuggets
do.
need another ball handler too. I think that's one thing.
Definitely.
Is like very obvious at this point. You're gonna need another guy you can count on to handle the ball.
GGX Gang HQ, pathetic end to the season.
Oh, man.
MPJ, KCP, and Murray all have to be looked as trading pieces for the offseason. No way you run this garbage.
I mean, come on.
I'll be honest. I'll bet you they run it back again. The KCP piece is the one to me that I just.
Of
I
course
think
they'll
some
run it
teams gonna
back.
throw them a ton of money.
You also don't call this garbage.
I mean, come on, man.
I mean, there's the case to be made. The Nuggets were the second best team in the NBA this year. The Wolves were the best.
And we're in a 1-point game with 6 minutes to go in a game 7. Like
Jake
so close.
Fowler, phone on mute. Wake me up tomorrow when it's over. Next year. Maximo again. I don't care what the national media is going to say. The Nuggets were worthy champions and classy organization, and the Joker is still the best player in the world. Rest, regroup, and come back and battle next year.
That
Thank
last
you.
part, very curious. We'll have to talk about that this week. Will Yoke retain his best player in the year title, or will it become questioned now by
It'll be
most
questioned.
people?
Of course, it'll be
Depends
questioned.
who wins it.
But for who?
That's
They'll
true. It
say,
does.
they'll say
Will it
Ant.
go Luca?
Tatum.
No, or
They
Luka.
Tatum.
Oh man, Brendan, dude, can you imagine what will happen to Brendan Vogt? I mean, his worst nightmare is truly in front of him
table.
at this moment.
Michael Talley, Project Dynasty, great hashtag, terrible strategy. I would disagree. The Nuggets had no one they could trust, and Jokic and the starters had to play way too many minutes. Nuggets had 4 guys with 40-plus minutes. Wolves had 2.
We're gonna examine this a lot this week, guys, because
I
there are
can't wait
layers
to.
to this that we can now kind of dive into.
Calvin Booth
and
said-
it might be right. It might be true. I actually don't know where I fall.
Calvin
on
Booth
this.
said very clearly, like he's so committed to this that he doesn't mind if it costs them a championship this year.
Is that wise or not, though? We'll debate it. We'll dive into it and give it its due. It's due more than 1 minute here.
Jason Kapp, I want to thank the Nugs for our first title and an awesome season. Thank you guys for the excellent analysis and passion for my favorite team. See you next
We
year.
appreciate
See
you
you
guys.
next year,
man. We
Jason.
appreciate the
Thank
love.
you.
We get a lot of hate.
Bird watching with Adam, $20.
My favorite guy.
Thanks
or
for the
gal.
great season of content, fellas. We're dodo birds tonight, and I'm bummed.
Yeah, we
Get
are.
off
We're not
that
extinct.
Zeke contract. I think they will.
We're simply dead. We're chickens.
I used to call so many people dodo birds.
That is like a great like middle school.
Oh my god, I won all
that's
the
a rough
battles.
one.
I was roasted.
Dodo bird.
Peter Duck. Jokic long shooting has been down all season, and it's never been felt harder than this series and this game. Get ready for hater takes like never beat a 50-win team in the playoffs on to next year.
I mean, here's the thing. Sadly true. Also, like, not... It's bullshit, but at the same time, unfortunately, this is how it works. You just leave a door open, and then people will pick at it until you shut them up, and then it's like...
I mean, that's exactly it. And the thing is that it's never over.
Yeah, you win 5
doesn't
championships,
matter.
and then they're going to be like, I couldn't get it done in
Right,
6
well, I mean,
days.
people
Like,
are
well, all right.
people are clowning the Warriors. You know, like
Totally.
it just doesn't matter. It's the
Well,
the
Steph
life
only
cycle.
won those 2 with KD.
Yeah, it's the
You
life
know,
cycle
they
of the
had
whole
that
thing.
1 year was an easy path. So.
Right. Yep. I mean,
There was no Kyrie that 1 year in the finals.
There's truly
like,
no winning.
There's
You
no
just
winning.
can't possibly win.
There's no winning.
Cobra 93 Stang. Wolves fan here. No hate, all love. Amazing series. It was so much fun to watch. You guys are great and have an amazing community. That's adorable. Fans hurt, but I get it. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Patriot Tex. Malone doesn't play young players enough, and when it comes to crunch time, they are not ready. We need another consistent scoring threat. This feels like 2019 again.
Gonna debate that all week. I'm telling you, there's a lot of layers there. That's not. All I'll say is I don't think it's as black and white as people want to make it sound. We'll get into it and let people decide for themselves all the different layers. 'Cause I think it's interesting.
Sammy Gomez, congrats, Tim Connelly. You beat the Nuggets. You're still not winning the title this year. Boston Celtics will be champions. I'm at a loss, boys. Me too,
Nuggets fans
Sammy.
hate Tim Connelly.
He
It's
went
actually
through
pretty
a-
interesting.
That was a roller coaster.
I don't know how you
Do
hate Tim
Nuggets fans
Connelly.
hate Tim Connelly? I don't think
According
so.
to my mention, I said Conley's revenge
Hate
today.
him?
Every single one was not that traitor. F that guy. There's
Yeah,
no
they called him a
revenge.
traitor.
There's no revenge if you're a traitor. So I mean,
Because I feel like when he left, nobody was like trashing him for leaving. It was obvious. Like, who wouldn't go? Stefan, love this team. This is sobering and it hurts, but the good times wouldn't be so sweet without the tough times. Repeating is tough, but we will be competing next year. All the Nuggets are good.
let me say this because it makes me remember something. The winning season, that's what you play for. If this is the end of this 5, I always said I hope that this starting 5 is remembered because I just love the way all the pieces fit. Last year, obviously, they won a title with it. This year, they come pretty close, I think. But if there is a KCP loss or a Michael Porter trade or something happens, like even if the team gets better, I'll be sad. I like this group, man. I like it a lot, and I've enjoyed watching them immensely over the last 2 seasons. Unbelievable. My favorite team of all time.
I mean, how could it not be?
And it's hard to imagine, even if it is a quote-unquote better team, it'll be hard to imagine liking them more than I love KCP, man. I love him.
That's
He's gone.
It was the perfect 5.
Michael Porter's a knucklehead, but he's our knucklehead. I love that dude. You know?
Hi, Lonesome. Congrats to the Wolves. Effing gut-wrenching right now, but at least we know the Nugs will be in contention for years to come. Looking forward to the offseason. Thanks for everything, guys. On to the next one. Shut down parade.
Oh, so sad.
CJ Jones. Booth better get in his bag this offseason. Rested on our laurels this year. Can't happen next season. This series was Jokic versus 2 All-Stars, 1 DPOY, 1 All-NBA, 2 times All-Defense, and 1 time 6th Man of the Year.
And some of this is on the Booth boys. Like, you know, Peyton Watson had a good regular season, did not make a big impact in the playoffs, but he got a taste of what it is to be a good NBA player, but not quite over the hump. How he approaches this offseason will tell us a lot about who he is. I'm very curious. I could see all outcomes for Peyton Watson. I could see him making an enormous leap, and I could see him coming back the same player. I'm very curious to see what he becomes.
Eva Hathaway. So hard to align all the tangible and intangible elements. Last year was magic. This year missing something. Did feel like that. Still love what the team stands for.
The magic is so real. You know, it's so real.
I know.
Maximo again. I know it sucks because in the last 20 years of suffering as a Wolves fan, we know what disappointment feels like. Y'all will be all right. Appreciate the content. Thank you. Till the next time.
So
gentlemen.
respectful,
the
Maximo.
classiest
I'm telling you,
gent
this
in the world.
guy's the best.
You would think that based on him alone, that the Wolves fan base was like the most gracious, incredible fan base. Was that really just him?
Yeah, just that one guy. There's been a few.
CeeLo 290. People should be sad, but I don't doom think. Team is still great, but lack depth. Count the blessings. Still a championship. 3 times MVP. Just out of gas. Be good to each other, DNVR. You guys are the best. Breathe.
We appreciate you, man. We're breathing. We're
dope.
breathing.
Yeah,
like that.
we're built for this, man.
Dude, we're all but 1 year of my life I've done this.
I know, dude. Like, yeah, you won't see like film or like footage of us like melting down and screaming like the Lakers
Breaking
fans.
the TV and
yeah, like the
stuff.
Lakers fans did. We're built for disappointment.
We've been losers our whole life. What do you
Jared
guys
from
think?
Foco, good for the Wolves and their fans. They were the best team. Tough to repeat. Was hoping to have my little nugget during the finals, but she still looked dope. She'll still look dope in her onesie this summer. Love the Nugs and DNVR.
Thanks,
Love that,
homie.
man.
Thank
Real
you.
one.
Big
Fatherhood
Honey.
the best, by the way.
Thanks DNVR for the greatest Nuggets content all season long. That loss was brutal. No sugarcoating that. Congrats to the Wolves. They played amazing and look poised to win their first championship.
I'll be rooting for them. I'll root them. I like Tim Connelly, and I like teams that are. I like smallish market teams that have never won.
I'm not rooting for anyone. You can all lose.
Clem Fandango. You guys have brought me countless hours of joy this season. Thanks for all the work you've put in this year. We'll be back next season when all the
I
Nuggets are
hate this.
gooder.
I hate that we're having to have a funeral. This sucks,
It
dude.
does suck. But also, just to know, it's not over.
Nothing's
we still are
over.
going to talk about Nuggets daily.
Nothing's over, but my God, this stinks.
Yeah, we have like an autopsy all week this week, which will be interesting. And then after that, we have to get weird. The off season's always fun to get weird.
Snake drafts. Let's go.
Bryce Huskin. This is just a momentary delay.
You're
Failure
right.
is not fatal. We'll be back. Delay on parade.
Delay on parade. I love
That's a
it.
good
That's
one.
exactly right.
Clemens 112. First super chat, watching from Poland all season with you guys. Thanks for the good work. At least I'm finally going to get some sleep. It's 5 a.m. here. Thank you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Big name K. Big Namek.
Big Namek.
Thanks for helping make every game better, guys. You're appreciated more than we can say. Super disappointed, but you're always there to help us through it.
Thanks, Big Namek.
Thank you, and thanks to everybody
Big
who
Namek,
super
real
chats
one.
every
Oh,
show.
we have so many real ones. And the real
So
ones
many real
deserve
ones,
so
man.
much better.
Including 55555-ish.
The realest of the real.
What an ugly week for Colorado sports. I'm so sad right
Yo.
now, but I wasn't missing this losers lounge for any reason at all. Thank you for the amazing regular season and playoff show. This will be an interesting offseason. I still love the Nuggets.
55-55 from 5555-ish, man.
What
Thank
a
you,
home
man.
club.
Real
An
one.
absolute home.
Although, to be honest, he should have super chatted 555-55. So,
Toko Ghetto.
what the hell, dude?
First off, great coverage these playoffs, fellas. Love Jamal, but putting all the eggs in that basket backfired this series. I don't know if this makes sense, but Jokic needs more ball and less minutes.
I still don't feel like we lost. Did we lose?
I don't either.
This
I
can't
feel
be
like
right,
we got
man.
another game in 2 days. The boys down
Game
again.
8 coming up, baby. It's going to be big.
Maybe our dad guy will be home more nights now. Food at the regular time.
Oh, that was...
From the
boys.
They stole his phone. Oh, my God.
Josh Dillard, Malone doesn't trust any of his bench. Need to evaluate keeping MPJ after this playoffs because I don't know Austin Rivers was still on this team.
Ouch.
Oof.
You know what's interesting about
Austin
Malone
Rivers
not
actually played
trusting
well.
the bench?
Hey,
the
thanks,
Nuggets
David.
were better with Jokic off the floor this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Notably. David. From
Thanks,
David.
David.
Thank you. Jonah Charnick.
40 piece.
Can't win every
Hell yeah.
championship. I guess love and appreciate what you guys do.
I'm not
Thank
going to
you,
lie.
Jonah.
I really thought we could win every
I
championship.
wanted to win
You
every
could have.
championship.
You could
I'm
have
really
won the last
shocked.
two.
I kind of thought that they were just
I
going to win
hate
them
that
all.
they're
Even
not
though,
winning every one of
they've
them.
lost now, what, 56 of them?
Yeah.
I thought for sure that
Honestly,
they could win
we,
every one.
we won one, and I was just like, is this what it's going to be like forever now?
We suck.
Damn it.
In our
Cedric
fucking face.
chiming in. Until next season, fellas, you're the realest DNVR. Love you guys. Change will happen. MPJ, SMH. I need some
Ambien.
Ambien.
Wow.
Okay. P.S.
Very
Can't wait to see
revealing.
you guys in Las Vegas. See you there.
I'm a little nervous for him on
Easy.
Ambien, to be
Wow.
honest. Like,
What a game in series, but mad props to the T-Wolves. This is a hard one to take.
Ugh.
Thanks, guys, for the journalism, takes, and, of course, hype. Go Nuggets. Thank you,
thank
man.
you.
Thank you, Easy.
Dean Gorgaris, love Jamal, but when he and Reggie started turning the ball over in the third, it felt like a bad omen.
It really did.
it was.
Huge
turns
props
out.
to Towns. Not sure Dallas or Boston would beat Denver. Tip of our cap to the Wolves.
Really did feel like we just needed to get over this one.
Again with Dean, P.S. It really did come down to no Bruce Brown, didn't it?
Kind of. It would have been nice to have him.
Would have been nice.
He definitely would have played more than 8 minutes tonight.
Sure. David, maybe time for MPJ to go and expand/explore his game in Denver to find somebody more reliable. Wouldn't mind a flyer on CP3.
Oh my God.
First of all, Chris Paul has a contract, and that contract pays him $30 million next year. So unless you want to trade Jokic for him.
Well, you could trade Porter for him.
That's true.
That's what he said.
Is that what they're saying?
That's
Trade
what he
Porter for
suggested,
Chris Paul?
yes.
Wow.
Oh my
He
God,
says
dude, we
Chris
are down
Paul, Murray,
so
Brown,
bad.
Watson center would be a formidable bench
We
shooter.
are
and
down
I can't
so
go
bad.
there right
A
now.
$30
That- we are
million
down so
bench
bad.
player would be insane.
And I can guarantee you that doesn't
Also,
happen.
Chris Paul. Like, we'd have to make a list of players
Oh
I
my-
least would want to have to root for.
I'll make that play. Number 1, James Harden. Number 2, Chris Paul.
Yeah,
Number
that's actually
3,
might be the list.
And I will say, we'll have a whole week to discuss this, but my initial read is I don't think Calvin Booth's changing up his strategy that much.
Oh, I don't think so either.
That's my initial
I don't
read.
think so either.
he can't. His strategy was meant for multi-year.
Maverick 36. Can we say the 5280 jersey is the Jackson/DJ bailout jersey finally?
Sure.
F that jersey.
F that jersey.
Especially when they came out against Wolves proper whites.
I know they picked their best game for their best unis for Game 7, and we picked our worst.
Thank
It
you.
was lost before it started.
Thank you, DNBA, for all you do. Hope the Wolves win it now. Joe Clem. Blame goes to everyone. Players, GM, owner, Malone, but we ran out of gas. Reggie and Holiday go scoreless in back-to-back
I
games.
mean, they played a minute. and a
Malone
half.
didn't trust Watson, and we don't have reliable backup bigs. We're too thin.
I'm telling you, this is going to. We'll get into it later, but it's going to be very interesting. There are challenges in the modern NBA. Like, no team has repeated since 2018. The Warriors, which by the way, only were able to construct that team because of the crazy cap spike that happened that one year. If you take that one out, which I actually think you should, because I think the special circumstances that allowed those salaries only happened that one time, you have to go all the way back to 2013 before we are in an era of parity that was created by the CBA.
I hate parody. It sucks.
But I think a lot of teams, you're going to see them like losing key pieces of their roster in the coming years because of the CBA, and you're going to see really good players signing for cheap because there's only so much money left.
Drew Anderson, thanks for everything you do, DNVR. Love the community you've built.
Thanks,
you, Drew.
homie.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
man.
homie.
Devil's Thumb. Down here in the netherworld, it's eternally dark, and the hell is hot.
Yep.
But this loss was far worse.
True.
Heads up, Nuggets.
Oh, wow.
Heads up, Nuggets Nation 2025 World Champion.
Let's go,
take
dude.
it.
Let's
I'll
go.
take
Next year it is.
Devin Quintana. Next year's payroll has Zeke Naji projected to make the most outside of the starters. What do you see for Zeke and the Nuggets' future with him getting nothing outside of garbage time?
I see Zeke
him
in
getting
another
traded
jersey.
this summer.
Yeah.
There was interest in him at the trade deadline. They just might have to attach a pick.
I honestly bet you they attach this year's first because I don't.
That'd be a lot to attach. I wouldn't do that.
It's the 28th pick. Basically a second.
I wouldn't do that. Irwin on Booth, he said in the KOC interview that they may sacrifice a back-to-back in the name of a Spursian window. We judge him next year forward.
It's true.
I think it's true. Although, also sucks. But I
Also,
think
they
it's true.
didn't sacrifice this year. They could have won it this year.
I know, but they didn't.
Naveen immigrated in 2016 from India to Denver. Never cared much for cricket. Nuggets, the first team I've rooted for. Disappointed, but through
I
thick
hope this
and
wasn't the
thin.
first year that you were. Hopefully, you started last year at least.
Sports bring people together, man. I believe that with all of my heart.
Yes, welcome, Naveen. We welcome to the misery. Welcome
Thank
to
you, Naveen.
Nug Life, you sucker.
Matthew Lum, BS Adam. Connelly got a lot more money. Iguodala was a rat with ethics to be despised.
They're not-
the same.
Adam wasn't calling that. He was just reporting what other people were saying.
Patriot
BS.
Tex. Never thought I'd see one championship. Now feels like we won't see another.
That's how it feels.
Oh man, it does hurt that way.
We're down so bad.
Just butthurt tonight. Nuggets need a heart transplant.
man.
Better role players.
Oh, it's so brutal.
Well, it's tough to get great role players when you're paying 3 max contracts. It is. Joe Clem again. Good point on Silver Lining Adam. The Cronkies are less likely to be fiscally conservative moving forward. Tim Connelly has activated an arms race, baby.
Unless
The
he-
Nuggets have the second highest payroll in the league.
I love the idea
Like-
of fiscally conservative, though. He means not spending money, but I would bet you politically, they're going to be fiscally conservative. I
They
would
will,
bet.
I can see that.
I can see that. I don't think.
Or I think they have the
want lower
second.
taxes.
They think they have the second most payroll committed next season.
Yeah.
All right, keep it rolling.
Outside of Phoenix. Steve Braun. Jokic has played more than any MVP level player in the last 4 years. Murray was hurt again and gave it his all when other stars have been sitting and losing with calf strains. The last two teams to repeat were stacked. It was always a long shot. Love from NC. Thank you, Steve. Jerry J, MPJ, F minus game. Accurate.
F minus is insane.
Jack Neiman. Can't keep KCP. Bruce can come home. MPJ went through a ton. He'll continue to get better. 2 rings in the Jokic era will be a huge success 2025.
I'll be honest. 1 ring is a huge success, but you are right. We are greedy. That one already happened. Let's 2025, baby.
I'm not done.
I mean, best player in the world. You should get more than 1 ring.
I'm not done. I'm not satisfied.
Yeah. Michael Hoens. Pissed right now, but I never thought the Nugs would get one. Just want to thank the crew before I drink my sorrows away. Thank you, Michael.
Put the bottle down.
No, put your throat.
Patriot text. Seems like Minnesota stole all the best things from Denver. GM coach Hart.
Not weather.
How come they get to root for Gobert?
Cedric again. Hope we keep KCP. I'm gonna be okay. We'll have to wait to visit Denver next year. Lego Mavs won my bet. The under Dev D-line smile, my guy. Chunk Dickwell's burner checking in.
There he is.
Keep
He's
the
arrived.
faith, Nuggets Nation. It's been a hell of a ride. 2 windmills were sitting on a hill. One asked the other, "Do you have a favorite song?" The other replies, "Well, all my life have been a heavy metal fan."
Wow.
Did you picture a wooden windmill?
Classic Chunk
Would you
Dickwell's
picture the
burner
old
right
wood-
And
there.
also, those aren't made out of heavy metal. Those are definitely like composite.
The old ones, though, the little
Which?
metal, the little.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But I wouldn't call those heavy metals, though.
Yeah. Terrible.
Rody. It's been fun watching with you guys. The Nugs won their first championship 6 months after I moved out of Denver. It's been great to have people to suffer and celebrate with. Nuggets for life. Thank
Well,
you,
we're suffering
Rody.
right now,
We
baby.
suffer
We are
together,
suffering
Brody.
right now.
Tyson P, $40.
We-
Thank you, man.
Yeah, we appreciate all the big numbers
Yo,
you guys
for
are throwing
real,
out,
for real.
man.
Thank
we really
you, guys.
do.
Yeah, excuse if we're not calling it out correctly because we are miserable and it's not your fault.
Thank you guys for being amazing guides on this journey, even though it ended painfully. Much love. Same time next year. Malls and her +1.
Thank you.
Sounds good, man.
Thank you.
Steve
Malls,
Brown.
balls.
Move up, draft Edie.
Yeah.
Finally have a backup center.
Finally have a real backup center.
He's gonna save us.
Zach Heedy, man. We were 1 Edie away.
Ben Lampert with the 5280 super chat.
That's
Parade
right.
was awesome.
Oh.
Thank you, DNVR.
Thank you.
That was
Great.
so
We
awesome.
were
I
so
remember
awesome. We wanted
We
to
stayed
stay
on
it.
parade for like 320 days.
We
It was
wanted
pretty
to
good.
stay on it.
CJ Jones, love you guys. DNVR for life. At least we aren't the Lakers.
That's
Man,
true.
every day I
That's
wake
true.
up and think,
So lucky to be us.
man. They're talking about that team we beat in the first round? Yeah, that's who they're talking
Liam G. I'm thankful we won our chip when we did. The West continues to get better and scarier. At some point, Jokic will need another All-Star to help him battle through this crazy talented conference.
about. Big year for Murray coming in.
Timur, I was worried when Jokic wasn't shooting the mid-range much during the regular season. He needed it tonight. Need another ball handler and a backup bagel will be fine.
We will be fine. In that much, I'm sure.
JK Walrus, $50. Thank you, man.
Thanks, homie.
Thanks, JK.
Painful way to end the season, but big thanks to you guys for amazing coverage and community. Nuggets in 6 with Vlatko.
That's so true. We didn't have Vlatko.
Yo, actually, that would be. That's
We needed a bigger body.
That would have actually been a big factor.
Kevin O'Connor in the chat.
Hell yeah, my guy.
KOC.
KOC.
Great year, DNVR. Dynasty Dream still alive with some tweaks this summer and youth development.
See, there we go.
Astute observation from KOC.
observation.
That's my guy, man. KOC's the best.
Hell yeah.
JT Kendall, championships are so sweet because they're always preceded and followed by heartbreak. Glad to live Nug life with this team and you DNVR team.
I'm telling you, it is true. You lose so much more than you win that you have to appreciate the wins that much. You have to appreciate them 50 times more than the losses.
All you do is lose.
All you do is lose, except for
You lost
once.
Icy hot these knees. Ant is a greater player. These boys were gas. Next year, more Canadian tuxedos for MPJ. AG, Maul, Joker, y'all are warriors. Enjoy the pool time, boys.
Enjoy the pool time.
Walter Worthy, thank you, man. Down bad, fellas. Losing obviously sucks, but losing went up 20 at home in the second half is crushing. Booth has been good, but truly don't understand the Z contract. It was to trade. And please, Malone, play the young guys. There's talent there.
Gonna talk about that a lot this year, man. Or this week.
And I really do think a big reason they signed him was to trade the contract.
Yeah.
Jose Avias. Nuggets got fat and lost hunger. They took things for granted and appreciated the playoffs like they couldn't lose. Or approached the playoffs like they couldn't lose. You guys are awesome, though. Thank you. Snowwolf. I hate Ant-Man and the Timberwolves. We will get them back next year. Hey, man.
finally a real
Nuggets
one.
Timberwolves 3 next year is going to go crazy.
Yeah, finally a real one. I'm tired of the gracious approach to
Yeah,
the
it was a
Timberwolves.
villain story.
Yeah, like,
402
you
Nuggets.
suck it, man.
Tough loss, but I can't wait for the summer of snake drafts and
You did not
casual
have a good
Fridays. I
game.
hope we can talk aliens with D-Line again.
Hey!
I've got some thoughts.
Do you have some thoughts?
Updated takes?
Not really.
Nico Perez, guys, I just want to thank you forever for the incredible content all year. There's truly nothing like the DNVR boys. Hope to meet you guys next season.
Yes.
This hurts like hell. Monte, so close but so far.
So close. Yeah, on the bench, on the other bench. So close, yet so far.
Walter, again, regardless of tonight's outcome, would love to see KCP back, but at what cost? Also, DNVR is the best. Love you guys.
Walter, you're a real one, man.
Such a
First teamer.
real one,
We
yeah.
appreciate you.
25.
Yo,
Here
we're
every,
getting-
every show.
We're getting showered in love. I can't
I
believe
know.
that I'm not
I don't
allowed
feel
to
like
have
we don't
any-
deserve it.
I don't feel like we deserve it, and none of it's able to be penetrated through my disappointment.
Dude, somebody send something that can penetrate D-line here.
Yeah, dude. Somebody penetrate.
You could
me.
probably penetrate him for $50.
say something to
He's
penetrate.
that cheap.
Say something to penetrate me, like DM me once.
Naveen, also another every game super chatter. Doing the second super chat, so you guys talk about this. Did that 82nd game versus Spurs last 5 minutes meltdown cost us the title? Maybe.
Maybe.
It's entirely
I've
possible.
heard a
Really
lot of
possible.
weird stuff about that game too, which we can talk about later this
More
week.
alien talk.
Actual alien talk.
Well, here's an alien.
Bill Zine Ball, the alien, the actual alien. This is actually 5 million Buckazoids where I'm from. Love you guys. We'll get the UFO out there again sometime.
Dude, thanks so
Hell
much
yeah.
for the Buckazoids.
He said that before the alien time.
Good timing.
Man, I love the Buckazoids.
I'd love
Matthew
an
Bryan.
alien friend.
They'll be back with the combo guard. Bruce, I don't think they can get Bruce.
You know what?
He's making $20
Hey,
million next
we'll,
year.
We'll get into that later in the week. For
Okay.
now,
Yeah, just be like,
dude,
oh, I
why
don't know.
can't we get?
We're gonna sign Bruce. We're gonna sign Kobe.
Bruce will be back.
It doesn't matter.
We're gonna get Kobe, huh?
And a backup big, hopefully playable. Thank you for the
LeBron
super
James.
chat. Brown, Watson, Vlaco, jumps, team wins every year. See you soon. See you soon. Matthew Lum, I'm sorry, Adam. Why are the comparisons between Iguodala and Connelly need to be reported?
Yeah, Adam.
Come on,
you
Adam.
need to answer that, man.
Why you gotta bring up?
I'm
Why you gotta bring up old
confused.
stuff during this game, man? Why you gotta report from sources like your?
Is that it, Kale?
One last one.
Boys, Dad, we did beat the effing Lakers. That will do for me until the fall.
Yeah. Yeah, we did beat the Lakers. Outro music has been punched. I did like this team, and it is funny what winning a title does to you, because it's both the greatest thing and also a weird perspective for you. If I would have told you the Nuggets would tie a franchise record 57 wins, have an MVP, and make it to the second round in a Game 7, you'd probably say, you know what? Top 5 season in Denver Nuggets history. Honest to God.
Probably,
Top 5.
it probably is still.
I'm saying it. It is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying it. But, you know, after you've climbed that mountaintop, you kind of know there really, what does Pat Riley say? There's winning and there's misery.
Yep.
And unfortunately, this season.
is misery.
This is misery. But I did love this season. I loved covering it with all you guys. Vote at the arena. Kale, who always is behind the camera, you know, never gets to be out here reaping all the rewards, taking in all the super chats and all the love, yet doing all of the grunt work and figuring everything out. I love doing this show with you guys, and we've been doing it for what now, 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years. We won a title doing this show, and I just really appreciate all you guys. And even though we're not going anywhere, I'll literally see you tomorrow.
We're doing a show at 3:15 tomorrow.
It does feel like the end of a chapter, and then a new chapter begins tomorrow. So as we close it, I just say I love you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I'm bummed it has to end right here.
It was a great season, and I mean, we got a lot of great super chats tonight. That's why we do it, man. We do it for you guys and for us a little bit, but it's for Nuggets Nation. It's for all you guys out there. So as always, man, thank you guys for tuning in all season. Thank you for watching all season, super chatting all season. It was a really fun year. It was a really fun year.
Thank you for another great season. I felt like this was a year that everybody got closer. If you spent time in the super chat, you came down to the bar to meet you, you got to see familiar faces. This was not a shocking, year of seeing people and going through that. You guys made us feel loved. That's in public, that's, here, that's online. Like, this is a family, like a true family. And I love you all.
Fuck me.
We're literally back tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hit the like button. We'll see you there.
We all silly like the mayor.